I'm going to pit my Fuji X10 compact camera against this, the LUMIX GF2. How are they going to compare? Around about the same price, second hand. Actually, I think the Fuji is slightly cheaper, but you know, it's much of a muchness. Let's take some pictures down in Cornwall with both of these cameras and see how we get on. I mean, they look pretty similar, don't they? About the similar. I mean, this is a on the Fuji we've got a 28 to 112 mil, and on this one we've got a 14 mil pancake, which is a 28. So, oh, that's a fixed lens. Hang on a minute. If we want these to be a similar camera, we're going to have to put a similar lens on. So they do a 28 to 84 equivalent, which is this. 14 to 42, which is a 28 to 82 equivalent. Not quite as strong as this one, and it's not a 2.8 lens, but it's a bit bulky. I mean, look at the difference in those two lenses. Wow, that's why I think this is a great travel camera. But we'll give it a go. Let's go out and see how the LUMIX and the Fuji do head to head. Bring it on. So first up, it's a colourful picture from the Fuji, and it's really brought the reds out in this picture, hasn't it? Very colour saturated. It is on Velvia mode. The LUMIX, obviously not having that Velvia option, is a little bit bluer, isn't it? There's definitely more blues in this, but nice and sharp. The Fuji though has got this option right on the back without buying another lens. It has got super macro right close in. Now let's put these two pictures up side by side, and the first thing you can tell is there ain't much between them, is there? So the one on the left looks slightly sharper to me, and certainly dealt with the shadow detail more. The one on the right has definitely got more colour in it, and let's have a look at which is which. There you go, LUMIX on the left. You knew that, didn't you? Slightly cooler and slightly more saturated from the Fuji and its Velvia tones. Now straight away, one of the first things you notice about these two cameras is the Fuji is just, when you take a picture, when you fire that shutter, it's just so quiet. It's just like a little Leica click. You almost don't know what's going on. But the Panasonic, the LUMIX, click that, and it's just like there's a big. I mean, it feels like a big huge mirror on a DSLR. Clunk. I mean, you really know you've taken a picture. They're like chalk and cheese when it comes to firing it. The Panasonic has obviously, to get any kind of zoom, has got that really big chunky lens, and it does make it a little bit unwieldy, but we'll have a look at the quality. In the meantime, we'll put the pancake lens on. That just gives us 28, but it is a faster lens, so we'll see how we get on with that. So down by the river we've got some more flowers, and the Fuji has done a great job. Nice and contrasty, punchy colours, a little bit overexposed on the houses. Let's have a look at the LUMIX, see how that got on. Wow, that's a very different picture, isn't it? A lot more shadow detail in there, and I mean, the picture looks less contrasty, doesn't quite have the pop in colours, but a really different picture. Let's put two side by side, and these two were taken at the same time. The Fuji on the left is just more contrasty, doesn't have the detail that the LUMIX on the right's got. Looking into the house there, that cottage, you can see the detail in the white there, which you can't see on the Fuji, and also the leaves in that bush. That's noticeable how it's giving you that little bit more detail. I just switched the shot to this play equipment here, and you can see the Fuji. Look at the warm colours, look at that evening sun. That's beautiful, isn't it? Let's see how the LUMIX dealt with that. Oh, that's bitingly sharp, but you can see it's lacking that colour. It's lacking that colour saturation. It's slightly warmer, isn't it? But bitingly sharp. Here's another side-by-side view, and on this one we've got lots of sunshine, and the LUMIX is just killing it. Look at the cottage in the background. It's so sharp on the Lumix. If you want to know where we are here, we're at Pendra Loweth. If you'd like to come and stay, I'll leave a link up here right now, and I'll leave one in the description too. So this is a really great place to come and take some pictures with all these flowers and stuff. But how do these cameras actually get on with skin tones? Well, I need a friend, and luckily I've got one just over here. This is Paul. Hello. And he's going to model for us. We'll do a picture with flash, filling flash, and we'll do a picture without filling flash and see if I can't make him look beautiful. Oh yes, it's done a great job of making him beautiful. There's the Fuji, nice flat tones. Let's have a look at the Lumix. Oh, that's interesting. We've just shot these on program and it's given me a wider aperture. Look at that, it's given me a little differential focusing. Let's turn the flash on and try some fill in the X10's flash. It's amazing, such a tiny little flash unit. And look at that, beautiful balance, exactly what you'd want from it. Let's try the Lumix. Wow, I'm surprised. Another small little flash. Look at the balance on that. That is really, really good. So difficult to choose. Ah, look over here. This is interesting. We are in a bright sunshine, but those trees are giving a lot of shade over the waterfall there. So that gives us the opportunity to try these cameras, see if we can recover some detail in the shadows and balance out with the sunlight. Now let's have a look at an editing picture where I've lifted the shadows from the Fuji, something the Fuji's always been really good at, and balanced out with that sunlight in the background. It does a great job. Now I can see all the detail in the waterfall. So how did the Lumix get on with an edited shot? Oh my gosh. Oh, it's better, isn't it? I mean, there is more in that water detail, and look, and also there's more in the highlights too. The Lumix has this one, it really does. And just when you think the Lumix has got it and is gonna take the title, back comes the Fuji with its super saturated, super contrast velvia. Wow, just wow. Hey, that's enough of all this camera stuff, says Ernie. Let's go for a walk. Okay, Ern, we'll follow you. But we'll take the cameras with us because we still want to see how they fare. Now, this is the Lumix and this is the Fuji. But there's something about the light on these Fuji that enables me to play with the edit and get all sorts of tones out. This is the very same picture. And I can't help thinking that the Fuji is about to come into its own. This is the Lumix picture. Okay, standard, pretty much as you'd expect. But the Fuji with those extra velvety tones, look at it's kicking out warmth, it's kicking out contrast, and there's a quality to it that the Lumix just doesn't have. As you know, I don't do technical reviews. I do reviews about how cameras make me feel and the kind of pictures I feel I can take with them. And this is the Lumix. It's a nice shot. It's some caravans in a field, beautiful day. It's what you would expect from a DSLR, and it's nice to get it from the Lumix. But the X10 has got something else. It enables me to be much more creative. Those extra colours, those extra contrast. You know, the Lumix might be a tiny bit sharper, but the X10 gives me something. I don't know what it is, but it enables me to be more creative. Maybe I'm just more suited to it, who knows. So what about video? How do these cameras fare with video? Well, this is the Lumix, the GF2, using the camera's onboard mics. And let's have a look at what the Fuji looks like. Well, this is the Fuji, and again I'm using the onboard mics on the X10. Is it any better? I don't know, you tell me. I think it's fair to say, as I walk through the countryside, that neither of these cameras is really going to win an Oscar. They'll do a bit of videoing if it gets you out of a problem. Now, time to have a little stop and refresh myself and think about the benefits of these cameras. They're both pretty good. It's hard to pick. I don't think you'd be disappointed with either. But as I walk along, I am pushed towards the Fuji. Although the Panasonic does deal with shadows really well. I'm walking down now past the farm on the way back to the car, and the farms are busy getting in the... Oh! Look at that! I've never seen anything like that. Look at that, that's a hay bale. And it's been like, I've often wondered how farmers get their hay bales wrapped in cling film like that. Look at that. That is so cool. I could do with one of those at home. I can't even wrap a piece of cheese in cling film without getting all messed up. That is so cool. I like that. And actually, I'm going to just drop a few paces down the road and use that to do a long lens picture to find out what these cameras are like at the long end. And there you go, that's the X10. That's fully zoomed in at 112mm and pin sharp, and that's where the contrast and that lovely 2.8 lens is coming into its own. Let's have a look at the GF2. Not quite so long and not quite so sharp, lacking the contrast. I think the Fuji has taken the title in that one. And now a little bit more walking down the pathway or through these huge leaves, and we should hit the beach. There we go. Going black and white now just to finish off the test. This is the Fuji. Nice clean image, plenty to work with. And the LUMIX. Yeah, it looks a little bit flatter. There's much of a muchness, not too much to pick between them. But let's zoom in. Pow, right the way to 112mm, and the Fuji doesn't disappoint. It's got that nice punchy contrast that everybody that knows my channel knows I like. The LUMIX, on the other hand, is a lot flatter. You're going to have to dial those blacks and whites in afterwards. Now, as I head back to the car, the last few images, it depends what you like from your images. This is the LUMIX, and it's dealt with the highlights really well. It's slightly flatter, it's pin sharp, bitingly sharp, and shadow detail is excellent. You can recover lots. The Fuji, on the other hand, is a very different picture. You wouldn't think these were taken at the same time, would you? But they are. Pin sharp. You can even see an insect there. Look in the air. It hasn't quite got quite so much in the highlight detail, nor the shadow detail, because it's got punch, it's got power, and it's got color saturation. And the final picture against this beautiful blue Cornish sky is this plant, and it goes exactly to show the difference between these cameras. On the left you have the Fuji with its saturated colours. Look at that blue compared to the LUMIX blue on the right. It has the contrast, and it has fantastic detail, but perhaps not so much detail as you're getting from the LUMIX. The LUMIX is giving you probably a little bit of a sharper image. It's giving you a little bit of a flatter image, but it's also giving you more in the shadows. I don't know. It's 6 of one and it's half a dozen of the other. Both of these are great cameras. I like the Fuji because I like what it allows me to do in post-edit. But you know, I'd be happy to take either of these out. I hope you enjoyed watching these two cameras fighting it out for supremacy. Which one would I take with me? For me, it would be the Fuji, it'd be the X10. The LUMIX, for me, is just too big with that lens on. It's too clunky, and the Fuji just looks great.